Hello, everybody, and welcome to Open Thought House. My name is Baked Rex, and I just want to start out by thanking everybody for listening and tuning in. I wanted to give a brief introduction about myself. I have suffered many years with depression and anxiety, and I guess what some others would call PTSD in ways, and I recently just got myself inputted in the hospital into a research psychiatric facility in Kansas City, and came home about, well, I'd say three weeks today probably, and it's really been an eye-opener for me to see the different types of people that are in there treated for different mental illnesses and drug addictions. And I almost had what I'd say, come to Jesus moment with really wanting to reach out to people and really wanting to talk to those in a community that may struggle with the same things that I struggle with, or even different things. We are an open thought house. We talk about anything and everything that we want to talk about. In the future, I will have specific topics I would like to talk about. Specifically, suicide awareness is one that I'm a big one on. Drug abuse awareness. MS awareness is something that I would definitely like to discuss as well in the future. As of now, we are just kind of, trying to open up to people and give this a shot. And so with that being said, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I hope to hear from you guys soon.
So the question is, have your parents influenced what goals you have? So we're just going to go to everybody and explain if your parents have helped achieve.
Have helped or have influenced my goals?
Influenced.
Positively or negatively?
Either way.
My parents actually took a stance of kind of hands off in a way when it came to goals, because they were always like, whatever you set your mind to, just do it. Mm-hmm. So that was nice and not at the same time, because I could do what I want, I could pursue what I want, but I grew up not knowing what I wanted to do. And I still struggle with that today, because, when I, like the job I'm in now, I don't enjoy it, but when I get out, I don't know what I want to do. I've never had that one hobby or that one thing and that everybody always has that I meet. They're like, oh yeah, I do this and I want to make money off of this someday. Well, even video games, I'm not a big video gamer. Or a gamer at all. I'm not a master at anything, really. I kind of just dabble in everything because I don't know what I want in reality. So my parents influencing, if my parents had been like, you're going to do, when I was younger, baseball, I was real big into that. My dad was real big into that. I probably would have gone to major leagues the way I was going, but then I got my knee injuries, and then after that I was into reading and writing for a long time, and then kind of just fell out of that simply because they were like, yeah, if you want to read and write, then go do that. But then they never constantly held me to it, so they let me go to my own devices. And as a young teenager, for a guy, I feel like you need a set path of what you want to, you need a set path on what to do, instead of just, oh, this looks interesting, I'm going to go do this. And then no one's telling you, nah, that's not a good idea. Mm-hmm.
That's those too many parents these days.
Yeah.
That's at least how I feel. But I'm no parent, so I can't judge or say
Yeah,
anything.
none of us are.
Yeah, none of us are parents.
But,
so
if I had a son, I would find maybe 3 things to constantly fall back on that he could get into if his next interest fell off. that he would always be able to do. That way, later down the road when he's on his own and he wants to find something either to do to occupy his time, it could be one of those three things. Mm-hmm. So either, like my grandfather was woodworking. That's what he did. Even when he retired at 60-something, he did woodworking. He's always done that. Well, he did. But, like, I don't have that thing, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I don't have that one thing that I can just say, oh, yeah, I do this, and I'm really good at it. Right. I don't have any of that. I just do everything, and then I try and get good at it. Mm-hmm. But what do they call it? The jack of all trades, master of none? Or something? Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Sure.
In a way. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think parents should... Actually, I shouldn't say that. I think my parents personally did not influence my decisions on any hobbies or goals. They didn't really give an influence, but I think they should have. That's just me personally.
Okay.
Man, I went on a tangent there.
That's okay. Bubba Cheese?
Don't be
Well, I mean, I guess my parents were the same way. Like, they didn't force anything on me. I kind of always followed in my brother's footsteps. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I kind of agree in the way that, you know, when you're older, like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow. Like, I still don't know what to do. Like, I'm old as fuck. Still don't know what I want to do. Like, but I don't know if my parents pushing me towards anything would have helped with that. Mm-hmm. I mean, what I wanted to be when I grew up, like, I always envisioned being, like, a rock star and, like, being famous and stuff. But, you know, my parents always told me, like, oh, that's something that's not achievable. That's something you can't do kind of thing.
Not realistic.
Exactly. And they're like, oh, you need more realistic goals. So I was like, well, I want to be a veterinarian. I want to do this and stuff. And we never ended up doing those things. But I don't know if, like, them... I mean, maybe. Like, I mean, I wish... my dad would have got me more into woodworking, like more not realistic, but like more practical things in a way. But I mean, at the same time, when I raise my child, like I don't want to push him in any sort of way. Like I don't want to push him to do what I do. I don't want to push them to do what they don't want to do. Mm-hmm. You know, I just want them to be their own person. And if that means, you know, trying to spend years trying to figure out what they want to do. But, you know, I just want them to be their own individual person. I don't know. That's kind of how I think. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that would be a mistake. I mean, like you were saying, you want to raise your kids to kind of push them, you know, in certain directions kind of thing and have that fallback in a way, which I think is smart. But at the same time, like, I don't know what I would want to push them towards at the same time.
I wouldn't say push them, per se. I would say more of these are activities that could lead somewhere fruitful. So like you get them involved early on in, you know, sports or crafting or whatever, and it doesn't matter what, you know, what the gender is, because either one can be, it's gender neutral at that point. So like you take them fishing, you teach them how to play baseball, and you play baseball with them every weekend. You have those things that they can fall back on if they later in, say, high school, they're like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, and then you say, well, you've been doing this for years, you're pretty good at it, why don't you try that? And it's one of the three things that they enjoy, you know? Right. And when they're really young, you can figure out fairly quick, like, I don't know what age, but you can figure out fairly quick what they're into. I mean, you know, if I remember back when I was younger, I remember I loved baseball, I loved painting, and I loved hiking. I loved outdoors. So hiking can lead into forestry work or conservation, like so many different things. I mean, as a young child, you're not going to realize that, but your parents, if they did it that way, if you do it that way, where it's like, I'm giving you these tools, but you're not going to know it yet, type thing. So, like now, like, I don't know, for me, I can never be a rock star. I know I can't. I'm just not musically inclined, period. I force myself to learn musical instruments, but it's not for any goal. It's not for any reason. I just do it because, for me personally, I'm bored at times. And a lot of different things do not give me satisfaction anymore. And it's kind of like going through a list. I'm like, almost like a bucket list. Like, what haven't I done yet? Rock climbing. Okay, well, I'm going to go do that. And then I do that until I wear out. And then I move on to the next thing.
But I mean, you could also find something that you're interested in.
Right, but it's, for me personally, it's really hard to do that.
Okay.
Because when I get started on something, it's like, oh, that's an interesting, but what's the word? Passion. Like, I have no particular thing that is a passion.
No, I agree.
Nothing.
I get it.
Nothing. But everybody I meet, they're always like, oh yeah, I'm really passionate about this. I'm like, oh, that must be nice.
Right? I'm just like, I don't got anything.
Right.
I'm nothing.
I am nothing.
Well, I used to have a passion. I had a passion. I lost the passion.
Yeah.
Am I talking not loud enough? Okay. I had a passion. Ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to work with animals. I grew up, my mother and biological father actually used to breed boxers, so they were so cute. I was always around dogs. We had cats, indoor, outdoor. We didn't live on a farm or anything, but my uncle owned a farm, so I'd go out there quite often and do all that. But anywho, long story short, my parents, my mom was very all about, you be the type of person you want to be. And if you want to, be a ballet dancer, if you want to, pronounce in theater, if you would like to become a police officer, you do whatever you want to do and just be happy that you're doing it, And if you're going to a place that makes you absolutely miserable every single day, it's just not worth it. And that's unfortunately where I kind of fell with my passion. I loved animals, and so junior year of high school, I had the opportunity to go to a technical school, so I took advantage of that. It was a 2-year program at South Technical High School. Freaking loved it. It was the best time of my life. I got 4.0 GPA. I was rocking it, and I did an awesome job. And out of only a couple people in our class, I was one of the very few that got my CVA, which is Certified Veterinary Assistant license through them, and I was very proud of that. I pursued on, and I went into veterinary medicine, and I did it from 2011 to 2020, and since then, I think I can unfortunately say that I have been burnt out of my passion, which makes me very sad. But now that's kind of why I've started leaning toward this new podcast, is maybe so I can talk to other people that have maybe experienced that and what they do with it, and certain things like that. I'm getting off topic, obviously, a whole lot. But my parents, again, she was always, hey, let's do this. Biological father wasn't so much there. He was there in and out, but then he vanished when I was about 8 or 9 years old. So, not a great influence in my life, but my stepfather stepped in and actually adopted me. So that was a good thing. So he was able to help me, acquire and do goals, everything through high school. I taught martial arts at the YMCA. Anything that I wanted to do, my parents always told me that I just went above and beyond with everything, whether it be theater, whether it be art, martial arts, anything that I was into. It was just like you excel and you go above and beyond. So they always made me feel good about that. So I can say with any goal that I had, such as getting into veterinary medicine, they were all about that. So that's at least my aspect on it. It's kind of a little different.
Yeah. So with me, my mother, she was very supportive. Anything I wanted to do, she'd be like, okay, let's do it too. And she'd just basically be there, and we'd come up with a plan, and then just do it. And then burnout is a real thing.
Yeah.
Definitely, because just like you, I went to college for a bit to learn my craft, and
What was it?
animation.
Oh, didn't know that.
I mean, you're a really good artist.
Yes.
Thank you. But actually doing it and then losing the freedom of doing my own thing burnt me out. So it just wasn't for me as a job, but as a hobby. I can do it whenever I want. Take time, move at my own pace, not have crazy deadlines. It can be very stressful, so yeah.
I can feel you there when I got into concept art and I wanted to do that, and I used to watch YouTube videos of artists and I would copy what they did to teach myself. I taught myself how to do concept art and do panels and do all that shit, but that was all on my time. And
Right.
then I went to college and I said, I want to be a concept artist. So I went to college and then they started giving me deadlines and all this other shit.
Yeah.
And they gave me strict rules on what I could draw,
Yes.
what subject to do, and I was just like, okay, I get that, but damn, is this like stressful? I started losing hair. Like, I am not kidding. Like, I was losing hair and it was coming back gray. And I was 18 years old.
Oh,
like,
that's not
what
good.
the hell? And
Yeah.
I went to college early. I went to college at 17.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So it was not healthy at all. And I realized that, like, I somewhere in my mind, I would still like to do concept art because I just love the utter, I guess, freedom to do what you want on your own time, like your own
Yes.
stuff. But I don't know what I could do with that. Except being a freelance artist. But I mean, like my dad always drilled into my head was, can you make a living off of that? Can you support a family off of that? Can you do all that stuff? Can you support yourself? Like, despite what people say, starving artists, I mean, yeah, that's a thing, and it's not a good thing. And people take advantage of artists all the time. They always like, well, it shouldn't be that hard. Just do this for this amount. We're free. People always want the free shit.
To those people, I will give you a piece of paper and a pencil right now, and you try and do what I do. That's what I'll tell them. Because if they don't understand or appreciate what you are giving them, they do not deserve it.
Correct.
That's a good way to put it.
What about you?
I had a rough childhood, to be honest. My mom and dad, they're great. Don't get me wrong, but when I turned 4, my mom and dad decided not to be together anymore. So then my dad disappeared from my life. I mean, I at least knew who he was a little bit, but then I grew up with my mom, and she was always like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. You're going to be great. No matter what you do, you have my full love and support. Then I turned 8 years old, and my dad came into my life again, saying he wanted to make up for lost time. And it was probably one of the best things he's ever done, because my mom met my stepdad. I didn't really like him. I didn't get along with him. He treats my mom so mean. He's not very nice to her. And I lived with my mom till the time I was 14, but my mom met my stepdad around when I was 7, 8 years old, and it just started getting worse from there. So I got really depressed. Just joined high school, met the wrong crowd of people, got heavily into any drugs I could get my hands onto. I wouldn't suggest doing that. It's not a very good thing to do. I went to rehab to recover from it. I spent some time in juvie because of things I did while I was on those drugs. And then I came home, and I found reading, my own personal escape. It was the best thing I could do. And then my dad opened my eyes, and he was like, hey, I know you're having a rough time at home with your mom, and I know you love her, but why don't you come live with me? So he got me out of that bad household, away from my bad friends, away from the drugs and all of that. And he just helped me open up, because I didn't really know how to talk to people, didn't know how to make friends. And he got me out of my personal shell that I've built up. And he made me the person I am today. But I wouldn't say my mom influenced anything or my dad influenced anything. Honestly, it was my grandparents. They had the biggest influence on me, because they were always there when I was having a rough night with my mom, I'd call my grandma and be like, hey, can I come spend some time with you? And she'd be like, yeah, of course, your grandpa will be right there. So she helped me get out of it. They're great. I miss them so much. But no, and then I met someone, thought I was in love. Of course, got my heart broken. So I got out of town, met the wonderful group of friends I'm here with now, and they've kind of helped me stay non-depressed and away from things that I was doing before I met them.
Damn, Daniel.
So if anything, yes, my parents are a big part of my life, but however, it was my grandparents, my friends that are influencing me.
Yeah, if it wasn't for my friends, I wouldn't be here today. They have definitely helped me become the person that I am today. And boy, have I been through a damn journey. Up and down with a lot of stuff. But that will be a topic for another day. Oh, that was really good. That was really good.
I get the grandparents thing, though. I get that. I miss my grandfather.
Yeah. You're telling me.
Whenever I get to go back home and visit my parents, whenever that's going to be, my mom, or my dad, sorry, my grandmother put this aside. My grandfather had left me his woodworking tools. So now my dad is going to give them to me to let me use them. And I guess I'm going to get into woodworking for a little while, and we'll see where that goes. I don't know if it'll be a, per se, passion. Mm-hmm. I did that backwards. But, you know, I mean, I miss my grandfather. I wish he was still around. I wish he could have met Levi, because I know the first thing he would have said to her if she was to walk through that door, the first thing he would have said was, "Well, come here, sugar, give me a hug." And he would have gotten up out of his big old recliner red chair, and he would have just came over, given her a hug, and then he would have looked at me and said, "Ain't you got you a pretty one?" I would have been like, man. But I know exactly what he would have said, but I'll never hear him say that, and it still makes me sad to this day that I wasn't even there to see him pass or be with him or anything.
Be glad
I saw him. The last time I saw him it was a good time. The last time I saw him, because I knew when I went home that it was, and I don't know. I wish there's so much more I wish I could have said or should have said.
Just be glad you weren't there in the final moments.
Yeah.
I was there. I was there for both my grandparents' final moments. I wish I wasn't there for the final moments. They're bad. It was tough. My grandmother, she was like my second mother. That's why I love roses. Those are her favorite flowers, especially the yellow ones. Oh, beautiful things. No, she. Every time something happened, I could hear her. I can hear her now in my head. Just, "It's okay, sweetheart. I'm here." And she would just hug me. She'd let me cry, do anything. And my grandpa, love him to death. He in his final moments, he didn't recognize me. He couldn't remember me. And then, as he took his last dying breath, he was like, "Oh, Ashley," and I was like, "Fuck!" and then he was gone, and I was. It was tough seeing that. Now my grandma, I can hear her words now. I'm the oldest of 10 grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Dang.
Yeah.
They did good.
I'm the oldest out of all of us, and she literally looked me in the eye, a scrawny little 7-year-old me, and said, "You take care of my grandbabies." And then she was gone. Just while staring at me, I freaked out. I freaked out. Like, literal.
Understandable.
As a 7-year-old, the woman I looked up to just goes, I didn't understand concept of death back then. So, I mean, I looked at my mom and I was like, what happened? Is she sleeping? And my mom was like, "No, her number was called." And it's like, that's the only way she could get it across to me.
That's a fucking deadpan way to say that.
That's the only way she could get it across to me at that age. Because I was like, okay, grandma's sleeping. She'll be back. We'll talk in a little bit. But she was like, no, her number's up.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
Understanding the permanence of death is a tough thing.
No.
Yeah.
I still don't quite understand.
Yeah.
No, and sometimes you like stop and think about it, and you're like, "That's not real.
Yeah,
like that
right.
didn't happen." That was when I saw my brother's death certificate at my mother's house,
Yeah.
and it said Matthew on it. And I just lost my shit. It was. I kind of laughed. I actually laughed at it for a second, like, and it wasn't. It was obviously not funny, but it was like an automatic. You just laugh, and then you just like, that's not real. Like that, you didn't process with my brain all the way, and then I think it took about 5 to 10 minutes, and it was like it just clicked with my brain, and then I think I just collapsed on the floor and just lost it. But that's what happened with my other brother. It was called over the intercom at Six Flags. Yeah, it's at an amusement park.
I still don't understand that. Like, how can you do that?
They shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, they did that. Yeah, they called me over the intercom. I won't say the name. Sorry, my anxiety is getting really bad right now.
We can.
It's okay. No, I need to do this. This is good for me.
You want to count some dinosaurs real quick?
Nope. So they called me over the intercom, and they said my first and last name, and that was an automatic, somebody died.
Right.
They don't call you at the amusement park for something stupid unless somebody fucking died.
Yeah.
And I went over there, and it was my mom on the phone, and she was obviously tore up. And she just said, "Please come home, I need to tell you something." And I was just like, "Oh, well, you obviously called me over the intercom. You need to tell me what's going on right now. It's like you're going to cause me anxiety, and I already have terrible anxiety." And she said, "Brother Robbie, he overdosed on heroin, and we just found out about it." And I lost my shit. I just fell down, and it was like an automatic. It just snapped, and my other brother, it took a minute for me to process, but that one hit me really hard. And I just remember smoking a whole pack of cigarettes with my friend coming back home, and because that's healthy. And got there, and everybody was just in tears. And I call him my dad, even though he adopted me. He's not my biological father, but he just said, "Why my boy? That's my boy. He took my boy." So that sucks, but I understand. I was at least not there to witness that, and I'm very glad I was not there to witness that, because that would have been even more effed up. My father was present when they took Robbie away in the body bag, which is another story, but we won't get into that. But Matt, I know my mom and dad had to go physically see him just to confirm that it was him, but that was it. And I think from his face, it was just looked like somebody beat the shit out of him, but I don't think that's what it was. I think it was the drugs.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. Why did we get on this subject?
It's okay. Open thought house.
Why did we get on the subject?
Kind of on the topic of what drugs can do to you as a survivor.
Yeah.
It's not easy. They're great when you're on that run. They're not healthy for you, and the things that you do to steal from your friends or your family just to have enough to get that it's not healthy, and it tears up those relationships that you built literally from your childhood. It changes you as a person. I know before I was very quiet, not as outgoing. I didn't really say anything, and then as soon as I was high or I was on them, I was a completely different person. It was like I had the disability with multiple personalities.
Schizophrenia.
It was like that, but it didn't really do good, because if you don't get them into your body after a while and you go through those withdrawals, that's where you really see if people can stay with you. Apparently, most people can't. It's not a very pretty sight.
Yeah.
It's very tough. Yes, there are times, even now, is I haven't done it for like 10 years. I still miss them. Like every now and then in my head I'm like, right now would be a really good time to do that. But as far as I've come, I've learned to distract myself with other things, like playing games with my friends or just watching a video on how to make something or draw something or even just talking and laughing. Making a podcast is taking my mind off of it. So I'm very grateful I haven't done that yet because I don't want to go back to that person.
I think that's something most people don't understand is that real addiction never goes away. You never, ever really, truly, fully get away from it. No matter what the addiction is.
No.
And it just stays there. Like, right now I'm feeling kind of buzzed and I could probably keep on drinking.
Yeah.
And I was damn close to being an alcoholic. I was on the verge. But thankfully my friend kept me from it. And then I met you guys. Well, not you. But the you two. But
Bubba Cheese.
you weren't really Bubba Cheese didn't hang out with us because we were
Bubba
poor.
Cheese, an introvert.
You were an introvert, ma'am.
So is Paige, man. Just stay inside and get.
But no, I don't think people really like my mother. And you knew this. And if anybody didn't know, Baked is my wife. But she knows this, and she knows how. My mother is old-fashioned. My mother is Southern to the core, and her understanding addiction, she can kind of relate to because she was kind of a really crazy teen growing up, and then she met my dad. My dad is from a Southern Baptist home, and a Southern gospel singing group, so that kind of family. They're not anymore, but when she met him, she straightened out and became the good person, in a way. But
The nice white.
my mom understanding why, because I know it tore her up, understanding why I drank so much and trying to understand why I did the things I did when I was single and not with my wife currently. And there are reasons behind why I did what I did, but I wouldn't say reasons because that's just an excuse saying it's a reason. There was no valid reason why, and there never is.
Yeah.
Your mom and dad, they're from a part of town that is a certain type of people. If I'm not incorrect.
That right there, growing up, being told you don't want to be that certain type of person, you don't want to be that person, you don't want to be those people, don't fall into those groups, blah blah blah. But some of my best friends I've met now because of the things I did. Now I am where I am now because of those things I did. Yes, they were bad things I did, but do you feel like you're a better person now?
Yeah.
After what all you did?
In a way, having religion forced onto me, having this is not the type of person you want to be forced onto me. Hey, no, you don't really like this certain type of person. You're supposed to like this person.
Oh, sure.
The whole racial or sexuality or things like that being pushed onto me. I'm a completely different person now because back then I was closed up, didn't know who I wanted to be. Now I kind of have an idea. I still don't know what I want to do or what I want to be, but I know who I am. Now that I've met my friends, got out of my shell of being told, this is who you are, you're a Christian, you hate gay people, you hate this, you hate that, when that is politically not correct. Because if we get into that type of conversation, there are things that either the Bible or whatever says that this is not supposed to happen this way. But my family is very different from that. And yes, they do believe in that stuff. It was forced onto me. I don't know if I believe. I don't know where I stand. but I know I'm not an atheist.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
There's something there. I don't know how to explain it though.
Fair enough.
The one thing I believe in is miracles. I've seen them happen. That's all I can say.
You mean Miracle the stripper?
I just want to thank everybody again for listening and joining us with our first ever podcast. If you're interested, please leave a comment in the description below about maybe the future topic that you would like us to touch base about. Please like and subscribe, and we thank you again for watching the Open Thought House. Have a beautiful day.